So I just picked up this Kawasaki Mojave 250. The story with it is the guy bought it 5 years ago. Used it a couple years and tried to start it just recently. So he said it hasn't run in 2 years. He tried to start it just recently with starting fluid, but it wouldn't go. He said it would pop off with starting fluid, but wouldn't start. First, let's just do a quick walk around. Of course, it has the early 2000s color scheme. Lime green, blue, and white. The purple seat, I like it. It has 6 forward speeds and reverse. No, it has 5 forward speeds and reverse. It is liquid cooled. Has a little radiator fan up there. Chain is loose. Chain guides are non-existent. I already ordered this roller. Looks like the fuel is in the off position. Plastics aren't bolted down, but he said that was because he was trying to start it with starting fluid. Let's see what's in this tool carrier. Just some paperwork. Oh yeah, he said he changed the ball joints, so that's good. There's the receipts for that. And it came with a new rear shock. Seems pretty nice, as well as swing arm bushings.
Get up ready. Wait.
First, let's check the oil. I don't see anything on the... I don't see anything in the sight glass. So the oil was actually a little bit over full. I drained some out, and now it's at the right level. So now we can try and start it. Alright, that's good. We know it has timing, compression, and spark. All we have to worry about is fuel. So let's start looking into that. The gas tank is right slap full to the top. Looks like the fuel is off. Yeah, let's drain a little bit of fuel out first. At least there's no water, it just looks like yellow fuel. So the float might be stuck in the float bowl. But let's try and start it again. Fluid. Well, it runs on starting fluid. Sometimes you can get lucky. You can run stuff on starting fluid for a little, and then the carburetor will clear up. But we didn't get lucky this time. So let's pull it in the garage and start pulling that carburetor apart. Start with draining all the old fuel, because we're not going to want to put old fuel back into a good carburetor. So I can't get that fuel to drain. I tried blowing back through the line with air, but all it does is drip like that. So let's just take the tank off. Shouldn't be too hard, just have to take these plastics off. Turn heads. So there's a little like rubber mud flap type thing here, but these are so worn down anyway from hitting the tires over the years. I'm just gonna cut the 2 inches where it's hanging on, and we'll leave these parts. Alright, that gives us much better access. And also to change the spark plug, you have to pull the tank off. Let's check the coolant while we're here. Right up to the top. It's nice and green, that's what I like to see. Now it's just one bolt, and the gas tank is free. Now, while we're here, I'm gonna pop this selector valve off the tank. Just take a look at the screens. There should be 2 screens. Yeah, that one's just a little bit dirty. And this valve seems to work fine, so no reason to take it apart. Now, let's get back to the main task at hand. Let's try and take this carburetor off. Let's pop the float bowl off here. Looks like someone swapped these out with Allen heads. Yeah, look at all that stuff. The crusties. It doesn't look too bad. I think it all stayed pretty much in the bottom here. Yeah, that's all clogged up. That's not gonna suck any fuel. There should be a hose coming off of here, draining somewhere for if you have to drain the float bowl. It shouldn't just drain down onto the top of the motor. So let's clean up these parts and we'll see if it works. So I wasn't getting any flow through the fuel line out of the seat there. So I tried to turn it off because I thought it was threaded, but it's actually this pressed in fitting, and it is full of gunk in there. So that's why it wasn't flowing, but now I don't know where I'm going to get one of these. And I need these seals anyway. So, alright, back on the four-wheeler. Got some parts, got a spark plug, air filter, and new carburetor. So usually I don't buy these Amazon carburetors, but the last one I bought worked fine, so I'm going to take a risk again. And it also came with this plastic piece right here, which was broken before. So let's throw this carburetor on now. Now let's get the throttle cable hooked up and get rid of this old bracket. Seems to work, and the idle adjustment is, the design on this carburetor is actually better because it has this cable that goes through to this screw to adjust the idle, so you can adjust it from the other side rather than having to put your hand by the exhaust here. Now let's put this choke cable. I guess this actually technically isn't a choke. This is technically a enrichener valve, but it does the same job as a choke. And looks like I probably should have installed this before. So yeah, also I had an extra one of these things because I bought a kit of them. Came with a bunch of different colors, so I used the green one. So you can see it running in the filter there. Hopefully it stops. Alright, it looks like it stopped, so that means the float should be working. Let's back it outside and see if it starts. Alright, hopefully it starts up. I don't know if you could hear that ticking, but it sounded to me like the timing chain. So I'm gonna try and tighten it up here. Alright, I was worried those were stripped out, but they're not. So it's the next night. I had the four-wheeler outside running to warm it up to change the oil, but also I plugged in these wires here and the headlight started working, so did the tail light. The only thing is the reverse light didn't work when I put it into reverse. So we'll have to figure that out. And then I unplugged this wire because that's the high beam. So I know which wire I'm gonna add this LED light to when you have the high beams on. And I'm also gonna change the oil. So let's do that. And this oil looks pretty clean. Off this cover, which hides the oil filter. Pull out the old filter. And the new filter. And reinstall. Now we can fill it with oil. I'm using Yabalube 1040. You could use another Power Sport oil. The difference with these Power Sport oils is they're designed for an engine transmission combination with a wet clutch. Engine has those overhead cams. So I'll put a little bit in, about 2 ounces. Now I want to hook up this LED light, which it should just be as simple as connecting red wire to here and black wire to there. So I just made these little jumper wires. So it just tees into the high beam light and the ground light and just comes right over to here. Now that I know that headlight works, I'm gonna reinstall the plastics and stuff. And it looked pretty dim in the video because this four-wheeler actually has no battery. So when the engine's not revved very high, the alternator is not producing much power. But it's a lot brighter when you rev the engine a little bit. And the reason it died in that last clip is because I didn't have the fuel turned on. There's really not much to these plastics on sport quads. I replaced all the old mismatched fasteners with 6mm flange bolts and nuts. So there's a couple more things I want to do to this four-wheeler before I take it on its first real ride. Got some parts here in the mail today. Some of this stuff isn't for the four-wheeler. This is a new chain for the four-wheeler. U-bolts for my truck. This idler pulley wheel thing for the four-wheeler. Well, got some unfortunate news here. The bearings in the rear axle here are shot. So this whole rear axle is just shaking all over the place. Look at that. That's no good. So this whole thing is gonna have to come apart. So here's the parts diagram. You can see there's one of the bearings, there's the other, and they go right in that tube there. So, gonna need new axle bearings. So I'm gonna have to basically rebuild the whole rear end of this because I'm gonna do the swing arm bushings, rear shock, chain roller, and rear axle bushings, rear axle bearings. So I'm not even gonna bother installing the chain right now. I'm just gonna take it on its first ride. I'm not gonna go hard this ride, just wanna feel it out and make sure it's a quad that I kinda like before trying to put a bunch of time and money into it. Having way too much fun with this thing. It's my first time riding a sport quad. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this around for a little bit. A couple of problems I've noticed as I'm riding it. Well, actually just one problem. The shifter is too low. My boot won't fit underneath it, so I can't easily shift up gears. But I've just been staying in second gear anyway. So I'm gonna end this video here. I'm gonna have to get more parts, and then I'm gonna basically be doing a full back end rebuild on this quad. So that'll be a separate video. I think I did pretty well. I paid 600 bucks for this quad, which now that I know that bearing needs to be rebuilt, I may not have paid that much for this quad, knowing that, but I still don't think I did too bad with this. And I know this is going to be a lot of fun to ride. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.